we have been teaching couples that in reality, problems in relationships don't exist. Marriage problems don't exist. Relationship problems. What people call problems, marriage problems, they think, look, there is a problem. We don't know how to solve it. We have this, we have that. The name that they give to these problems that they call relationship problems. But in reality, it's actually the two of them are problematic. And they are insisting on changing their partner, insisting on trying to point out the faults of the other person and change the other person. In other words, relationship problems don't exist. What exists are two people, two problematic people, desperately trying to change each other. In other words, you will never be able to do this because no one can change anyone. You can only change yourself. So, we made mistakes in our marriage for 12 years.
12 years.
Why? Because we committed this very mistake. Christiane would bring a problem to me, problems, complaints, and me thinking that I was the best husband in the world, thinking that I was a marvelous man, an excellent husband because I never drank, I never went to bars, because I made sure that nothing lacked, because I was faithful. I thought, I'm the best husband. You're complaining about nothing. So I couldn't see my problems, but I could see hers, and she could also see mine. So all our fights, the majority of fights in marriages, go like this. You are like this, you are like that, you are like this, you are that, you are that. And every time you hear this, you are that, obviously you want to defend yourself. You would want to defend yourself and counterattack to show that the other person is not so holy. So you are there pointing out the errors of the other person. But you as well are like this. So like that, for 12 years, we were trying to do this. Obviously, it didn't work. And the only thing we found out was at the end of those 12 years, she came to me and said, I'm tired. I don't want this anymore. I want a separation. She was tired because nothing was being resolved between us. And it would never have been resolved because neither of us saw our own problems, only the problems of the other person. So couples make this mistake all the time. It doesn't work. It doesn't resolve anything. They end their marriage thinking that the person was wrong, that they were incompatible, and that they don't understand each other, etc., etc. Then they get another partner, they get married only to find the same problems again. The problems will continue because they learn nothing from their mistakes in the first marriage. They only learn to change partners and run away from their problems. They do not look at themselves. When did our marriage change? When we understood that we had to take our mistakes and stop looking at the mistakes at the other person. We focused on our own mistakes. Just this. And we did this in a few months. What we couldn't do in 12 years was resolved. Is it that simple? Yes. It's simple. You just have to put it into practice. You have to give up your wrong ways and think. Because if you have reoccurring problems in your marriage that you can never resolve, is because you're acting and thinking in the wrong way. You have to give up this way of thinking, the way you are behaving, which isn't working, and apply what we're saying to you. Not because we are saying it, but because it's written here. Jesus said the same thing we're saying to you in another way. He said, take out the plank from your own eye so that you can clearly take out the speck in your brother's eye. This is what Jesus taught. If only couples would apply this in their marriage.
People sometimes they have difficulty understanding this that we're talking about because they think that the speck is in the other person's eye, and they think my mistakes, they're not as bad as my husband's. So she starts thinking, well, if I change, he's going to be the one that wins. He doesn't deserve for me to change. He doesn't deserve my change. So many people end up going into this failure of an argument because the first person that wins when you change is yourself. When you change, you become a better person. When you change, why do you need to change? Because there's a problem there. There is something there. Perhaps you have a bad temperament. You have bad habits that are not good for the relationship. You don't know how to speak. You don't know how to control your anger. You have a very difficult temperament to deal with problems. So this person that you are contributes to the errors, to the mistakes of that other person. I used to think like this: I am great. When we had problems, I would say, I'm the best woman that exists for Renato. He doesn't have anything to complain about me. Because that's how people always look at themselves. They think, if I have any mistakes, it's something so small. Everybody makes mistakes. So we always think that our mistakes are very, very small, and that the mistakes of others, and especially husband, wife, are huge. And we only make mistakes because of that person. But, my problem was my insecurity, right? I was jealous of him. I was very insecure. I didn't know that I was insecure. I just know that I was jealous. My jealousy caused, exactly what I didn't want, which was distance. I would complain that he didn't give me attention. But at the same time, I was jealous. And the person that is jealous, is she cool? Is she very cool that you want to be around her? No, right? You want to be far from the one that is jealous because they see things that don't exist. Meaning, my mistake would affect the mistakes that I would complain about in him. So that's what happens. Your mistake perhaps cannot seem like something so big. I'm jealous. I'm just jealous. But your jealousy contributes for that distance, for him not to want to talk to you, him not to want to be close to you, him to want to be more with his friends, to want to, be anywhere else but with you. That's why Jesus said about the speck in the eye, because sometimes we think that it's something very small, but it's not. It's something that's causing something worse. So if you understand this, you have to think like this: where am I making a mistake? What am I doing wrong? Stop thinking about what that person next to you, the mistake of that person next to you. But what about yours? If you start to think about it, to evaluate yourself, to look at yourself, at least you're going to get to know yourself better, which is what happened with me. I realized that I had insecurities, that I had roots that I had to get rid of. I changed for the better about myself. I became a better person for myself and consequently for Renato. When he changed, we always talk about it, that we both recognized that we needed to change, and we changed. But Renato changed after I changed. Renato didn't change when we recognized it, because the changes that he had to do were changes throughout time. It wasn't going to happen like that. But my change contributed to his change. Maybe it wasn't so difficult for him to give me attention anymore because I wasn't always there nagging for it. And maybe, he wanted to talk to me more because I wasn't being so annoying. Meaning, what I wanted, I was able to get through my change. You didn't have to do much things, huh?
Yeah, I had to make a couple of changes and adjustments in my life. But it's true. Her change gave me the incentive to change and get better. And we made a list. When we stopped doing what wasn't working, when we were just pointing a finger at each other, for the first time in 12 years, we used our reasoning, our intelligence. We stopped going by what we felt, by our emotions. When she said to me that she wanted to separate, a movie ran through my mind of my parents' marriage and so many other people in my family. History was starting to repeat in my marriage, and I got angry. And I said, no, I don't accept this. I told her, never say this again. Never say this word again. We are not going to separate. I don't know how. We are going to resolve this, but we are going to resolve them. I revolted against that. So it was the light that God shone at that time. She had never said this to me before, but looking for a light, God gave a direction. Look, make a list and write down all your complaints about me, and I will make a list about the complaints about you. And then we're going to exchange lists. And from now on, I'm never going to complain about you, and you're not going to complain about me. Each one of us is going to concentrate on our own list. Simple. We each made this list. My list of complaints about her, and her list of complaints about me. She listed 6 complaints about me that I need to work on. And when I counted all the points about her, there were 11.
And that's because I was the one that was complaining.
And she complained more, but I had more complaints. But from that day on, we decided that we will never complain about any of those things on the list. Each one of us had had enough things to change our own lives. So let's leave one another in peace and let's work on these things. And we did. So I saw that I was proud. I saw that I had an anger problem. I didn't know how to control my anger. When she would provoke my anger, what would I do? I would repeat this mistake that I would see my father when I was a child. Since I was a child, I would see my dad. When he was angry with my mom, he would stop speaking to her. He would speak to her. He wouldn't speak to her, actually, for days, sometimes weeks. So there was this atmosphere in the house. My father and mother in the same house without speaking. I hated that. But when I grew up and got married, I said to myself that I would never do that. But I repeated the same mistakes because I didn't know any different. I didn't know how to have a conversation. I felt anger, so I would keep that anger inside of me and give her the silent treatment. I thought that I was punishing her. But in actual fact, I was punishing both of us. So I discovered my mistakes. I saw my mistakes. I saw that I had left the image of my father behind us. But I repeated the same mistakes of my father. I discovered this about myself, and I didn't know that. I discovered that I was putting work before my wife. For me, it was more important that I was successful at work than in my marriage. I would think this. I didn't understand. Being successful at work did not make up for the weakness in my marriage. I didn't understand this. So everything was a mess in our marriage. When I started to look at myself and see where I was going wrong and work on myself, so I saw that I was a huge block of concrete that I needed to be sorted out. I wasn't such a good husband as I thought I was. When I started to change this bit by bit, little by little, so our marriage automatically changed. Why? Because marriage problems don't exist. What exists are two problematic people desperately trying to change one another. When we changed, the marriage changed. If you don't change, your marriage will not change. Forget it. Give up trying to force the other person's change. Change yourself. But then you say, what if it's just me and he doesn't change? Don't think like this. If it's only you that changes, you will benefit. you will have solved 50% of the minimum problems if just you changes. But probably what will happen is that your change will inspire the other person to change. You need to stop demanding and show instead. Stop to talk and show what you have done instead. Do you understand?
And when you stop, nagging, you allow that person to have their time, which is what happened with Renato. He only realized that he was proud, that he had all of this, because he didn't have me anymore there nagging. I wasn't complaining. I wasn't there criticizing him anymore. When you are there criticizing, when you're pointing fingers to the person, they build like this wall as if they had to defend themselves. They don't want to see themselves. They don't want to think about that because they need to defend themselves from you because you're criticizing them. So they're not looking inside of them. They're not looking at the problem. But if you stop criticizing, you're not talking anymore about that problem, and you start to change. The person starts to look at themselves. Because when you start getting better in this marriage, the least that could happen is that you're going to be a better person, and that other person next to you that perhaps is not changing in anything, they're going to think, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose this wife, this husband. I have to do something. I have to become a better person too. I need to change. What can I do to not lose them? Because they're not, imploring for my love anymore, running after me. I see that they're moving forward, that they're growing. So that person, she feels as if, she's behind. Meaning, you didn't need to say anything. They're going to feel that I'm behind. I need to run to get to the same level as her or him. So they start to notice themselves and start to change. And it's nice because the change comes from them. They wanted to change. They're not changing because you said. They're changing because they saw. They saw inside that they needed to change. So this is the trick. You change. You make that other person feel that they need to change. Because if they don't change, they, have the chance of losing you. Because you're changing.
To lose someone that is always changing.
Did you know that over 50% of couples who get divorced regret not trying harder to save their marriage? No one gets married to later get a divorce. But sometimes it seems like there's no other option. Wait, you haven't tried everything. Bulletproof Marriage has already helped millions of couples all around the world to avoid separation. Even if one party isn't willing to change, or the relationship seems like a lost cause, give yourself this opportunity. Read this amazing book and shield your marriage against divorce. Buy the book on Amazon.com today.
Does your love life need a little boost? An upgrade? A complete overhaul? Worry not. We've got the right treatment just for you. It's the Love Therapy course. Live stream from Houston, Texas every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time with Dave and Evelyn Higginbotham, teaching practical advice for both married couples and for singles to deal with the day-to-day ins and outs of romance and relationship issues.
If we make a mistake, it's not a problem to make a mistake, but if we make a mistake and we don't learn from it, that is a serious problem.
American culture is, follow your heart.
Yeah.
What does your heart tell you? Don't let anybody stop you. If you love this person, don't let them stop you. Go for this dream that you have. That's almost elevated as this noble thing.
Watch the Love Therapy live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Living Faith Network website, or scroll through the archives of past Love Therapy sessions on ulfn.org. For more information, comments, or questions, call 888-332-4141 or text 888-312-4141.
Imagine waking up one day to find that you married the wrong person, or that you lost your true love because you ruined your relationship, or that you'd missed it when that special person came into your life. For those who don't want to spend the rest of their lives regretting a bad decision, Bulletproof Dating is a must-read, no matter what stage of singleness you're in. Whether you're alone, waiting, dating, picking up the pieces of your broken heart, divorced, or widowed, this book will help you navigate the complicated world of modern relationships. Years of experience have given Renato and Cristiane Cardoso authority to say that most divorces start during the dating phase. Bulletproof Dating is a manual for all ages and will open your eyes and show you practical actions you can take. It's time to learn intelligent love. Ebook available on Amazon.com and other online retailers.